Hello, dear students. I am Samir Velankar and I welcome all of you to this another video on the topic binary search tree. In the previous video, we saw recursive functions for in-order, pre-order, and post-order traversal. Now we will see applications of in-order, pre-order, and post-order. Now, these recursive techniques can be used for solving number of problems on binary trees. Like as an example, let's see how to count number of leaf nodes in a binary tree. Let's say we are given a binary tree and we want to know how many leaf nodes are there. You all know that leaf node is a node in which does not have left child and right child. That is, a node is called leaf if both left and right pointers of the node are null. So how do you go about it? We want to write a recursive function for doing this. Observe the recursive function defined below over here is named as countLeaf, and it is taking a pointer called p as a parameter to node of the tree. Now this p initially is going to be root pointer, the root pointer which stores address of the topmost node. So if at all you want to count number of leaf nodes, or rather if you want to do any process on the binary tree, the process must start from root node, isn't it? Because that's the only node that we know. We know address of only the topmost node because root pointer stores the address of topmost node. So this p initially, the pointer p which is passed the count leaf parameter will be initially equal to root pointer. Now you observe closely the code given inside the count leaf. It is undoubtedly recursive because there are two calls to count leaf function within itself. So this is recursive. And between these two calls, in between these two calls, just check my words, in between the two calls, there is some process. The process is if statement. So this particular type of recursion will be from now onwards called as in-order recursion because there are two recursive calls and between the two recursive calls, there is a process. Additionally, you see, the first recursive call, countLeaf, is having a branch towards the left child, p arrow left, and the second recursive call is having a branch towards the right, p arrow right. So this is perfectly L, countLeaf p arrow left is L, then the if statement over here is V, process the vertex we say, V means we are processing the vertex, and countLeaf p arrow right means R. So this is LVR inside a recursive function, countLeaf. So this is indeed in order traversal we are doing. Just confirm it. I will take you to the recursive function that we studied just in the previous video. Have a look at in order. The in order function that we defined in the previous video also had two calls to in order and in order with left and right branches. And in between the two calls, check my words again. In between the two calls, there was a process. The process was print the vertex. Now here the only change is that we have replaced the name of the function. The name of the function was in order. We have named it as countLeaf. That's it. And countLeaf is called recursively two times with left child, p arrow left, and right child, p arrow right. And in between we had printf, remember, in the pure in order function. Now here we are having a if statement. So this is perfectly in order function. Let's see how this works. Let's assume that we have got a tree drawn here on the right hand side. You should all agree that this is a tree. This is a binary tree which contains only one node. We can obviously have a tree with single node and root points to that particular node. I have assumed that the address of the node is A. You all know that addresses are numeric, but to keep it simple for me and you to read it, I have labeled the address as A. So root is storing address A. we are going to call this count leaf function by passing the value of root in the pointer p. The parameter p is going to be root. So we start the count leaf function. The count leaf function is going to start as CL. I'll write in short, count leaf is CL, so that I don't have to write the big word again and again. Count leaf is having a parameter p, where p is literally equal to a, because we have copied the root pointer in the pointer p and we have started the function count leaf. So we have got a new pointer p as the function starts. P is now pointing to the node 10. That is, p is literally storing a value of root. Now if you start this function count leaf, the code you already know how to read it. We have gone through in order function video in the earlier lecture. P is not equal to null is true, because you can observe that p is pointing to the address a. So as if p not equal to null is true, we will go inside the if and count leaf will be called recursively with count leaf p arrow left. Have a look at the picture again, the diagram. P arrow left is nothing but left pointer of 10, left pointer of 10, p arrow left, which is null. Yes, again, count leaf p arrow left is going to call count leaf null. Literally null value is going to be passed, because p arrow left is nothing but null. So what happens is count leaf function calls count leaf function again, but this time the parameter p of the function will receive a value null. Now if p is null here, now you see this parameter p is null now, isn't it? The count leaf p starts with p equal to null. Then if count leaf starts, if p is not null is false. In fact, p is null now, and none of the statements written in the if statement will run. As if is false, entire if will be skipped and the next line will run. Of course, the next line is end of the if and end of the function. So importantly, count leaf p, when p was null, this function is now terminating. This is terminating now. And what happens is that when the function terminates, the calling function resumes. And the calling function was count leaf p when the pointer p was pointing at a. So we are back at 10, isn't it? What happened is when we were at 10 last time, we said hello 10, we are first moving to the left, so we called the function count leaf for the left pointer, but left pointer was null. As the parameter p was null, we simply stopped that function and came back to the calling function. The calling function was 10. So now if we are back to 10, back to this function, line will resume in this function. Yes, everyone. Which line will resume in this function? The if statement will resume, because last time count leaf 10, count leaf p when p was at a was busy with the line count leaf p arrow left. I hope you got it. Then if p runs, if p arrow left equal to null and p arrow right equal to null is checked, genuinely we are having, check the diagram, p arrow left is null and logical operator and p arrow right is also null. Both these conditions are true, so we'll increment the counter C, where C is assumed to be 0 initially, then C is going to be 1. Now you observe that counter C will be increased by 1 only if we encounter a leaf node, and the leaf node will be checked, or rather confirmed, if both the left and right pointers are null for a particular node P. Okay, so C is 1 now. C being initially 0, now C is 1. So now what next? There is one more line, count leaf p arrow right. That means for the same node 10, we are calling count leaf again, but this time we are calling count leaf for right child, right of 10. So count leaf p arrow right is called. So you check that count leaf p with p at a is going to call count leaf p with p equal to null again, because right child of 10 is null, and you know what happens when p is null. If count leaf is called with p equal to null, the if statement is false. If p not equal to null is false, in fact p is null, so none of the lines written in the if will run, and the if will end and the function will end. So count leaf null simply ends. Giving control back giving control back to the calling function. The calling function was count leaf p with p at a, and p at a means we are back to 10. We are back to this function. Check what happened. We started with 10. We said first, hello, we are not going to process 10, we will move left, but left was null. So the function which was called for left child count leaf simply ended, and we came back to 10. When we came back to 10, we asked, are you a leaf? By putting a if statement. And 10 said, yes, I am leaf. So we incremented C by 1. And after doing that, after asking 10, are you a leaf? We went to the right child by calling count leaf P arrow right. But count leaf P arrow right also ended because the right child was also null, and we are back to count leaf P with P at A. Of course, count leaf 10, that is count leaf P at A, will end now because it has finished all the left recursion, right recursion, and if statement. So if count leaf P with P at A ends, then the process ends because the process started with count leaf 10, the topmost node, and that function itself is now getting over. And we are getting C, the counter C, as 1, and genuinely observe the root node was the only node in this tree, and the root node is the leaf node, isn't it? Because both left and right are null, so the counter C is 1 over here, and that's correct answer. So easily, using only one node, we have explained how to count the number of leaf nodes. In fact, I will suggest all students, that if you want to learn any recursive function, once the recursive function is given and if you want to know how it works, then you start with some minimum input. If you start with minimum input, it will be very early, very fast. You will be able to know how the recursive function works. As it was proved in the count leaf function, we took only one node. So what if we very quickly trace this function for some bigger tree, not a very large tree we are going to take. Let's say that we have got 10 in the root and 5 is on the left. Now 5 is leaf and 10, 10's right is null. So this is where root points. Okay. Now we will not show addresses now onwards. Make it very fast now. We will not show addresses for these nodes. We know that it has some addresses. We will directly now show count leaf is called for the node 10 like this. Now note that we are not passing 10 to count leaf. We are passing address. This P is going to be address, but in our literature or in our explanation, we will show that count leaf is running for 10. That means pointer P is pointing at 10. I hope you understand this. So P is right now at 10, or P is storing address of the topmost node. What will this count leaf do is that it will first call count leaf for 5, the left child, isn't it? In order says LVR. So P will be at 5 now. That means we will have a new pointer P. New pointer P with earlier P still pointing to 10 because it is local pointer of the function which is running for 10, and this pointer to which I am right now pointing is a new pointer, local pointer of the new function. But what is countleaf 5 going to do? It is going to call countleaf null because countleaf 5 will first call countleaf PRO left, and PRO left is very well null. But you know that whenever countleaf is called with the value null, it simply ends giving control back to the calling function. And now the calling function countleaf 5, look here, from this null, left null, we have come back to 5. So when we come back to 5, we are going to resume with the if statement and we will ask, is PRO left and PRO right both null? Indeed, 5 is left and right both are null. So C will be increased. Assuming that C was 0, assume C was 0 initially, C will become 1. So we have got one leaf now. And after that, this function count leaf 5 will call count leaf PRO right. But notice count leaf for 5 PRO right is also null. So if the function countleaf5 calls countleaf null again, it simply ends, resuming the calling function, and countleaf5 will resume from the last line because it has finished its left recursion, the if statement, and countleaf. So countleaf5 simply ends. If countleaf5 ends, Obviously, its local parameter is also destroyed, p which was allocated for phi, and count leaf 10 resumes, isn't it? And count leaf 10, remember, has resumed after its left recursion. See how count leaf 10 has come back from phi. So it has come back after its left recursion. So it will resume with the if statement, and we are going to ask, is left and right of this node both null? That's false. Left is not null, although right is null for 10, left is not null. So C won't be increased by 1. So C will remain 1, as we have encountered only one leaf till now. The leaf was node phi. And 10, count leaf PRO right is called. Now observe, count leaf 10 is calling count leaf right, which is also null. I'm not showing that due to lack of space, but count leaf 10 is going to call count leaf null, which will end, and count leaf 10 will resume. Count leaf 10 will simply resume from the last line, and it will also end. I hope you are getting it. So if count leaf 10 ends, the process ends, because count leaf started with the root node. Of course, the local parameter p will be destroyed here. So this is the way how you can understand how recursive function count leaf works. In fact, it is on the same basis of in-order function. Now, what is this counter C in fact, isn't it? Now you see the counter C over here that I have taken is assumed to be a global counter. That is, it is a global variable which can be accessed in any function, and it was initialized to 0. So you all know what is a global variable. Variable declared beyond or outside any scope is called global variable. So somewhere, before the countleaf function, we will say int c equal to 0. This will be an extern variable, a global variable. So global variable can be used then in any function. So count leaf sets the value of c. C will be exactly equal to number of leaf nodes, and then we can print the value of c in the main program, isn't it? Once the c value of c is set, we can print it in the main program. Now many authors and many beginner students also dislike this particular technique of writing count leaf function with global variable and then setting the value of c uh, as c++ whenever we encounter a leaf. In fact, they like the method where the count leaf counts the leaf and returns the answer. So instead of the void data type here, return type void, many students would like that the count leaf should return the integer and should return the number of leaf nodes back in main, so we don't have to take the help of a global variable like c. There's nothing bad in using global variable c, but usually we avoid using external variable c or global variables in general. So below over here, I have shown one more version of count leaf. The count leaf function over here, I should say, is is same as the earlier one, except that the count leaf function here returns int. Notice the previous count leaf was a void function. It is also taking p as the pointer, and this p will be equal to root. Same code, literally same code we are having if p not equal to null, but you notice the if statement was written here on top. If both right and left are null, then return 1. Now, if left and right are null, then we have encountered one leaf. Currently, we have encountered a leaf. So we simply return 1. Yes, we have encountered a leaf, isn't it? And then we call count leaf recursively with count leaf left and count leaf right, both left and right childs. Count leaf is called 2 times here, but whatever is the return value of count leaf PRO right, left and count leaf PRO right is added, and that added value is returned. Let's see what I mean by this. Of course, if is false, then in the else we have said return 0. Let's see. So how is this count leaf going to work? Just check. Usually in the gate exam, they will give you a code, such code where the function is non-void. It returns an int or it returns some answer. So it's important for you to know how to trace such recursive functions also. Let's see. Let's start with our very small binary tree. We have got left of 10 and right of 10 as null. So root node itself is a leaf. So the answer over here should be 1. We have got one leaf, isn't it? Let's see how it will work. Count leaf will be first time called for 10. You know our shortcut notation. So P will be at 10. Actually, the pointer P over here doesn't get the value 10. It gets address of that node 10. But in our shortcut notation, we are showing that count leaf is running for 10. That means P is at 10. I hope you understand. P is now at the node 10. Now, if you start running the count leaf, this count leaf function, if p not equal to null is true because p is pointing to 10. So you come inside the if and you ask, is left and right both null? Yes, straight away, both are null. This is a good idea, isn't it? If you are counting leaf nodes, you tell me if you are counting leaf nodes, isn't it logical that as soon as you go to a node, you quickly ask, are you leaf? So what we are doing first, when we enter count leaf, if we know that node is not null, if we know that node is valid, if we know that P is pointing to some valid node, then we first ask, are you leaf? That's purely logical, isn't it? It's very nice way to write the count leaf function. So as left and right are null, you observe 10's left and 10's right is null, we return 1. Isn't it so? So what happens when the function returns 1? It simply ends. Hello, you should not read the next line now. How can you read next line? Because the function is now returning 1. So this function, count leaf 10, is over. I am striking it out. And the parameter p is also destroyed. And this function has returned 1. It has returned 1 back to main because main had called this function. So simple, isn't it? So in fact, I repeat, if you are asked to explain what is recursive function and somebody has given you a recursive function and they ask you to explain it, best way you can start explanation, is by considering very small input. Now, just assume we have got a bigger tree now. Imagine 10's left, I'm overwriting this, 10's left is 5 and left and right of 5 is null and 10's right, observe, 10's right is 20. Left and right is null. Now, how will this work? We should get the answer 2, isn't it? So, let's see how this will work. First call will be count leaf 10 because we will start the process from root. So, P will be at 10. Actually, P stores address of 10. So, count leaf gets the address, but we are writing it as 10. So, P is at 10. What will count leaf do? When count leaf starts, when count leaf function starts, it will check is P not null, and P is not null because it is pointing to 10. Now, as count leaf is having P not equal to null, as we are at a valid node, we will first ask, are you leaf? And what 10 says, I am not leaf because neither left is null nor right is null. So this return 1, this return 1, where the mouse is hovering, it will not be executed. As if is false, we are not going to return, but the next line will run. I hope you are understanding. And next line is nothing but call count leaf with p arrow left. Note that there are two recursive calls here, but only the first call will be done right now, isn't it? So what is the call, you tell me? Count leaf is calling. This is great way of showing it, isn't it? Towards the left I have shown count leaf is calling count leaf 5 because count leaf is called for p arrow left here. P arrow left is nothing but address of 5. That means the pointer p is now at 5. Now, if you start this fresh function, count leaf 5, the count leaf where p is at 5, the pointer p is at 5, will check that p is not null. And indeed, p is not null because it is pointing to 5. It's a valid node. So when you go inside the if, first things first, you ask, are you leaf? And p says, I am leaf. So it returns 1. Now you notice count leaf 5 is literally returning 1, isn't it? It has returned 1, so it ends. And it has returned 1 back to count leaf 10. Basically, it has returned 1 here. You just check. The function call count leaf 5 was done from this point. So count leaf 5 returns 1 literally at the call, and then the count leaf 10 resumes. Count leaf 10 will resume with the second call, which I am underlining. So have a look at this. When 5 was called, 5 was asked, are you leaf? It immediately said, yes, I am leaf. So it returned 1. And 1 was returned back in the function which was running for 10. And 10 now resumes with its right call, isn't it? So 10 will now call count leaf 20 with P is now at 20. Of course, this pointer P will get destroyed now. Pointer for 5. So what happens when count leaf 20 runs? P is at 20 now and it is leaf, isn't it? You can see that when count leaf for P at 20 begins, it's a valid node. P is not null. So we ask, is it null? Are both pointers null? Yes, indeed. And it returns 1. So count leaf 20 ends because it is returning 1. And it literally returns 1 back to the calling function. The calling function was count leaf 10. And you notice 1 will be returned exactly at the call inside this function. It will return 1 here. Now count leaf 10 resumes. I am marking it. You just check count leaf 10 resumes now. And count leaf 10 resumes with its return statement and it returns 1 plus 1, that is 2. So simple, isn't it? It returns 2 and it will end. Count leaf 10 simply ends, isn't it? If count leaf 10 ends, it returns 2 back to main. You are encouraged to run this. You are encouraged to run the function for bigger inputs, isn't it? You can take 4 or 5 leaves and genuinely you check the function execution. That's the way how I learned it. Usually I start with a very small input, then I go for a bit bigger input, and basically when I see the function this way, reading it line by line and drawing the diagram of recursive calls, it simply fits in one of the neurons of my brain. By the way, the next video is going to explain how to count non-leaf nodes. Before we leave, just check the else portion of this. The else portion over here is saying return 0. Now it's really remarkable over here that the else portion, the else portion is really going to execute sometime when we are going to call count leaf with null. If count leaf is called with p equal to null, if p equal to null, then really it will be that the else portion will run. So you just check the else portion will run for this kind of input. I am not running it all over, but if we have this kind of input, let's say 10, then left of this is 5, and left and right of 5 is null, and right of 10 is null. Check this. Root is pointing here. Now you see this else portion, else portion will run when you call count leaf p arrow right for 10. For 10, when you have this right recursive call, then right of 10 is null. So as right of 10 is null, we will be passing null value to p and the else will run, isn't it? And in the else, we have simply returned 0. So, okay, before we end this video, just tell me what will be the recursive calls for this input. Suppose I have 10, 5, this is null, 10's right is null. Observe and how is this going to run? Just keep reading the function. Count leaf 10 runs, p at 10. If p is at 10, count leaf 10 runs. It first asks, check whenever the function starts, it first asks, is it null? Is it leaf? Now 10 is not leaf because left is not null. So return 1 will not run. So it will call return count leaf p arrow left. Now count leaf p arrow left here means count leaf 5. So p is at 5. New function starts. But when this function starts, this is leaf, isn't it? So the function is going to end returning 1. It will return 1 back to calling function. So 1 will be returned literally at the call. And now the second call, count leaf p arrow right. Whose right are we calling? 10's right. You observe we are in the function 10. So we are calling count leaf p arrow right. but P arrow right is null. So count leaf 10 is going to call count leaf null. I hope you are getting it. Count leaf null. That means P is null now. And if P is null, then this if is false. And we will jump to else and simply return 0. We say there is nothing to the right, nothing on that branch. So you better return 0. 0 will be returned back at the calling function. Calling function is 10. So 0 will be returned here. Count leaf right was called from here. And now finally count leaf 10, where we are back at, will return 1 plus 0. 1 plus 0 is 1. And indeed this tree, indeed the tree is having one leaf. I hope you have understood enough of it. Okay, let's meet in the next video where we will count number of non-leaf nodes. Thank you very much.